I bring you greetings once again. Good day to you, wherever you may be at, or good night, however you're doing. But certainly, I hope this video find you and yours doing well. So today, this video right here is going to be basically talking about constitutions and bylaws of the fraternal order, uh, whether it be the Eastern Stars or Freemasons. I encourage each and every individual who are part of the fraternal order, no matter what jurisdiction you're in, always to take a look at your bylaws in your constitution to make sure that when violations happen, when things happen, uh, that you know exactly what you're talking about. Because what happens is that a lot of people, individuals, like to talk about the Constitution and bylaws, this and that, and they haven't even read them. It has been my experience that if you would just pick them up and just read them for yourself, no matter what jurisdiction you're in, you will come to find out a lot of things that have been verbally told to you is not necessarily true when it comes to the Constitution or your bylaws. For one thing, is that a Grand Lodge bylaws and Constitution is what governs it. It is separate from anything else. I mean, you got your Constitution and your bylaws. If you are in any violation or transgression, it should show up in the Constitution and bylaws. And then and only then shall a person be brought or held as a Masonic trial or suspended or expelled due to the fact that that person has broken the Constitution or the bylaws or in violation of them within his own jurisdiction. If that person is not in violation of breaking any Masonic law or anything like that, then that person then has not done anything wrong. However, if people or individuals or groups do not uh, follow their own constitution and bylaws, then why do you need them? I'm gonna. There was an experience I had some years ago. Um, yeah. I was Grand Secretary at the time, and what happened was is that the Grand Master, what he did is that he was trying to hold the Grand Lodge hostage. And after the audit committee came up and they found that there was some mishandling of funds, uh, at the end of the day, he lost his seat. So the Grand Master at the time said, "Hey, you know what? You guys are taking my livelihood." And the craft looked around and asked, "What do you mean we're taking your livelihood?" It come to find out that the Grand Master, the sitting Grand Master at the time, was mingling or doing some things that was unmasonic as far as handling the Grand Lodge funds. And so therefore the craft voted him out. And then there was another time at Grand Session, at Grand Session, right? So the Grand Master passes the gavel over to, no, the Grand Master passes the gavel over to a past Grand Master who was to hold the elections. The past Grand Master then calls for a, call for an amendment of the bylaws. Well, he forgot that he said that all the seats are vacant. If you are at Grand Session and once all seats are vacant, you cannot hold no other business. But what the past Grand Master tried to do is hold other business. He tried to get a vote on the floor to where the Grand Master, the sitting Grand Master, could run again. Well, according to the Constitution at the time and the bylaws, clearly states that the Grand Master, after serving 4 consecutive terms, could not run again. He has to sit out for 1 year. But after looking at it, and the past Grand Master tried to get that done, he took the bylaws and threw them on the floor and said, "Hey, these bylaws are no good." And the reason they're no good because we don't need to abide by them. Man, I was pissed. I was pissed. But you know what? There's protocol. And we decided to settle in, and let this happen. And then afterwards, we followed some other procedures. As far as, we got hold to the charter of the Grand Lodge. We then made amendment to the name. And this is how we became John G. Jones Grand Lodge, California. It was through those protocols that we was able to continue to go forth. But boy, let me tell you, that was a rough period in time in my Masonic life where I was like, are you for real? You mean to tell me that you trying to disregard your own constitution and bylaws to get some stuff done? Let me tell you, craft. Let me tell you, sisters, don't ever allow that to happen in your jurisdiction, wherever you may be. Always stick firmly to that, only because that's going to be your saving grace. And when I say your saving grace, that means that when other individuals come to your jurisdiction, they're going to see that you have standards. And what happens is a lot of time is that organizations, they may have standards on paper, but they refuse to abide by the same standards that they got on paper because they don't read. All I'm saying is that for anyone in any jurisdiction, pop open your constitution, pop open your bylaws, pop open the landmarks. Another thing, all Grand Lodges do not follow all the landmarks in the Mackey's jurisprudence. They don't. They pick and choose what landmarks they're going to follow. And if it's in their constitution that they're following these landmarks versus those, it's their right. Nobody can interfere with the sovereignty of a Grand Lodge, period. And you must respect that. If you can't respect the sovereignty of a Grand Lodge, then wow, that says a lot about you. So I would tell anyone, you know what? If the Grand Lodge is handling business that way, and it's written down that they handle business that way, that's how they do business. Now, I don't necessarily have to agree with that. It's my own personal opinion. I don't have to agree with the way they may be handling their business, but it's their business. Now, according to the Masonic law, it says that as a Mason, that you would not interfere with other lodges' business. That's what it said in Masonic law. So if you ever find yourself in the court of law with these things, you can point that out plainly and clear. It says that you as a Mason, you as a Grand Master, you as whoever would not interfere with the business of another lodge. That is Masonic law. But if you find yourself interfering with other Grand Lodges, other lodges' business, then you are in violation of the very thing that you said that you would not do. It's written. And I tell you what, you can find that in Mackey's jurisprudence. You sure can. Pick it up, open it up, and it will blow your mind away. You know, also pick up your own bylaws and read them. And you may have to make some amendments to them to suit what you're doing now. If you feel that you're out of order, if something is not quite right, you may have to go and take a look at your own constitution and bylaws to make sure that it's going to help you survive, keep you moving forward. A lot of people don't understand simple protocols of Freemasonry because they don't do that for themselves. They feel that they've gone by hearsay, what somebody said. And what somebody's saying and what you know is on paper is totally different. You know, what does your constitution say? What does your bylaws say? You know, and once you put that together, then everything else is gravy on top. And I would tell any Mason, any sister of the order, you know, stop going on rumors of what he said, she said. Read for yourself, and then you won't have to be caught up in anybody's as they say in the South, rigmarole. You catch that on the way home. You know, you won't get caught up in that. You would have a basic understanding of how your chapter, how your lodge, how your Grand Lodge operates. Once you have that down, everything else is simple. Everything is simple. Once you understand who can run for office, who can't run for office, how does this connect, you won't have that miscommunication. And I would tell any Grand Lodge, any Grand Chapter, please get involved with how your organization is ran. Get involved with how your organization is structured. A lot of people don't know the structure of Freemasonry, but they call themselves Masons. Every Grand Lodge can choose their own structure. And when I say their own structure, because I've visited some jurisdictions and I watch how they open, and I'm like, well, that's not how we open, but that doesn't make it wrong, because my lodge don't open like that. It doesn't make it wrong that theirs do. You know, all it's saying is that in their jurisdiction, this is how they do their work. And if you're a visitor and someone has vouched for you as a Mason or as a member of the Order of the Eastern Star, you must respect their work. So you won't be saying, well, they're doing this wrong. No, they're not doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong according to the way you do it, but to the way they're doing it, to their jurisdiction, in their jurisdiction, how they function, this is absolutely correct. I was visiting a lodge, and I approached the altar, and I looked, and I said, oh, it's cloudy. And the worshipful master said, cloudy. So he called up the senior deacon. The senior deacon goes, checks out the altar, and he said, no, sir, it is clear. Come to find out, just because I may open my Bible, my Quran, which is on the altar, whatever it may be on the altar, just because I do it that way, they didn't do it that way. What I failed to realize is how the positioning of the compass and square was placed on the Bible. Period. I looked at it and I was comfortable with that, but the verse for which I'm so used to seeing wasn't there. And I learned a valuable lesson. Just because I do it and they don't, doesn't mean it's wrong. That is how they govern themselves. That is how their jurisdiction operates. So I would tell any brother, any sister, when you're visiting chapters and lodges, you know, you have to follow their rules and the way they do things when you're there. So with all due respect, that's just how the order is. And you know, your rules, your regulations are for you. Their rules, their regulations are for them. And make sure you understand the Masonic code for visitation, or the Eastern Star Code for visitation. There are some rules to that. And once you gather it up, once you put that together, you'll be all right. And I tell anybody that. So as I get ready to prepare for my trip coming up real soon to Israel, I'm pretty excited about it. I want to say a big shout out to Joseph Burris, past Grandmaster from the West Coast, from the East Coast, that is, from the East Coast. My fault. For giving me that opportunity. I just want to send him a big shout out, you know, and Sovereign Bay, you know, these brothers are from the Primitive Rites, and I've enjoyed their company. I've learned a lot when I've had conversations with them. So on behalf of the Primitive Rites of Memphis, you know, I just want to say to Sovereign Bay, I appreciate you, bro. Great conversation we've had. Great conference call. There are some great things that you put forth, and I'll continue to do that. And I think together we're going to make a difference in the Primitive Rites. And I see where you're going with it. And you know, hey, it is what it is. Everybody is not going to be on the same page all the time. But for those who are on the same page, those who are part of the Primitive Rites, I just want to commend you, whatever jurisdiction you're in, whatever sanctuary you're in, do the work, continue the work, and you know, respect to the order. That's how I put it. So until we meet again, until we have a great conversation face to face, hey, stay out them bushes, keep that light on. I'm out. Peace.